Certainly Aggie Pride is something that defines the program, not just in football, but throughout UC Davis athletics. But everybody has their own definition and maybe a way that they had gone ahead and contributed to it. So, Coach Sochor, let's begin with you a little bit. Talk about Aggie Pride and maybe what it means to you.
Well, it goes back many, many years. You know, I think Aggie Pride developed out of the football program and the success that we had and the culture that we set. It became about family, about bonding, about praise, encouragement, positive reinforcement, about earning what you get, and about this. We set our central values as trust, unity, and togetherness, that nobody would be closer as a football team than we would be. We had very little of anything, really. We had very little money, very little facility. The locker room went back to 1938. So what did we have? We had a great university, and we took great pride in it. And out of all that, developed Aggie Pride. And it was setting the identity and the culture, the specialness of place. We developed a helmet rule. It was a big part of Aggie Pride. The fact that your helmet never touches the ground when you're not wearing it. The fact that your helmet is your most important piece of equipment. And the way you treat your helmet is the way you treat everybody in the program, with dignity and respect. Because I knew that coming in as a head coach, that was one of the things that we really wanted to emphasize: what dignity, respect, the esprit together, that we're going to do it together. It wasn't a we and they, we were all in it together, and it all derived out of that, basically.
Coach Foster, you were next in line behind Coach Sochor with the position. What does Aggie Pride mean to you?
Well, personally for me, Aggie Pride started way back in the 60s when I was in school here. And I remember when I came as a freshman, I actually played 2 games most of the time. We had a freshman team then and played on the varsity as well. But for me, it all started with the people that I was dealing with. Coach Will Lauder was one of the finest men I've ever known, and Herb Schmallenberger, and they were guys that always built your character and your confidence more than anything else. And he always said, I'll never forget Will Lauder saying, be positive no matter the situation, and be enthusiastic no matter what happens, and you'll be successful. We had a great chancellor back then, Chancellor Marak, who was in the huddle with us half the time. He was just a wonderful guy. And of course, everybody knew Dick Lewis, and he taped my ankle every practice. And so that's when it started for me. And it was because we started with a tough situation. I mean, there weren't very many players, and we were getting beat most of the time. And so my freshman year was, hey, we weren't winning very many games, but I just remember the guys all played again the next year and the year after that, and everybody liked each other. And, it's easy to like each other when you're winning all the time. But when your face is in the mud and you're still like each other, you got a chance to improve, and that's exactly what happened. I'll never forget my junior year. We started getting better, and we were going to play Nevada Reno, who was a real good team back then. And we got up to have our pregame meal up at the top of the pass, and we sat down for our pregame meal up there. And Will Lauder, our head coach, came around with a paper that said, "Doormats come to town." Never forget this. And he handed all these papers. I guess he bought every one they had. Handed them around while we're having pregame meal. "Doormats come to town." Anyway, if you got a lot of pride and you've been getting knocked down, pretty soon things are going to happen. And we beat Nevada that next day, 36-12. So that's, for me, it comes from back then, and then it just kept going and going and going. And when I got here with Coach Sochor and his staff and the players, to me, the same kind of player. We just had a lot more speed, a lot more size, and all that going when we was here in the 70s. We were a lot bigger school, and we were a better football team. But I think character-wise, same kind of guys. And the players are wonderful, and when you coach people like that, you can't help but having pride in what you're doing. That's what it means to me.
Coach Biggs, having played for Coach Sochor and coached alongside both Coach Foster and Coach Sochor, you've seen Aggie Pride both as a player and as a head coach. What does Aggie Pride mean to you?
It always meant to me that you just take pride personally and collectively as a team and a group of guys in everything you did, both on the field and off the field. You were always mindful that the program was much bigger than any one individual. You played for each other, and you represented a great university. You represented players from the past, be it in the 60s or on forward in the future, and you did it with a lot of integrity. And you know, I think everybody has their own spin on what Aggie Pride is, but for me personally, is you just tried to do things the right way. It was just that simple. And if that's at the core of who you are and what you're trying to accomplish, then you can be accountable to each other. And that's, you know, that's kind of what we always try to preach here. And listening to players when they come back and they talk to you about their experience, those are the memories they have.
And Coach Gould, you came here in 2012, and I'm sure Aggie Pride was maybe a term you hadn't really heard too much about, maybe through Coach Foster a little bit. But as you got yourself indoctrinated to the university, what did you learn about Aggie Pride, and what does Aggie Pride mean to you?
Well, it means a lot of things. First of all, first and foremost, you know, having an opportunity to take over a program that's had a lot of rich tradition, and you learn right away, whether you're reading something about it or you talk to the alumni or just even with the players, just you get the sense of the unity, the sense of the family that's been here. And so as I took the program on, one of the things I wanted to do, and as we developed this thing, it's the unity, it's the family, it's the closeness. We talked to the guys about being grateful for everything and entitled to nothing. That's something that's really big. We talk about our character. We talk about 3 phases, okay? We talk about being great in the community, being great in the classroom, and being great on the field. Those are the things that epitomizes when you talk about Aggie Pride, what this university stands for. And then in talking about this university, it's one of the preeminent academic schools, and so it has a lot of rich tradition there as well. And so coming in, the one thing that really comes to mind, you start talking about Aggie Pride, the unity, the togetherness, the commitment. It came to fruition in my first year because we started together. And we started out 0-4, but we were able to, we got in some treacherous waters, and we were able to ride it. And that's because of the family, the unity, and the togetherness. And we ended up being 5-7. And so watching those kids persevere through all those tough times really shows that Aggie Pride.